All right, what's up, teammates? So today for Teammate Talks, we've got something to talk about that will help, like really help your kids learn some perseverance and some grit. And it also has to do with responsibilities. But first, let's define a responsibility, right? I think that's a good place to start. We define it with little kids as taking care of business, doing what needs doing, getting the things done that need to be done, that you said are going to get done, things along those lines, which, by the way, are very rarely the fun things you want to do. Often when we think of responsibilities, don't get me wrong, you can have fun responsibilities that you enjoy. Maybe you like giving the dog a bath. It's a lot of fun, entertaining with it, but still a responsibility. But when we talk about or listen to someone talk about responsibilities, we're typically thinking about the things we don't like to do. That could be cleaning the bathroom. It could be doing the dishes. It could be something at work, right? I always tell my people here, and anytime someone joins the staff, look, this is a really fun job, but there's going to be parts of it you don't like. Just like anything else. I tell my students that come into the martial arts world, this is a really fun thing to train, but there's going to be parts you don't like. You might not like the grappling stuff. You might not like the kickboxing stuff. You might not like some of it, and that's okay, but you're still going to learn it, right? You're still going to take care of it. So the thing about taking care of responsibilities is we don't always, actually, we very rarely want to. We very rarely feel like doing it, which means that it takes a certain amount of discipline and a certain amount of perseverance to make sure that we are handling our responsibilities, right? But we also know that we want our kids to be able to handle their responsibilities. And sometimes, especially when we're dealing with kids, a lot of times kids will crash out over this. They'll get really upset when you remind them of a responsibility they forgot, or you push them to take care of their responsibilities. They might start crying and hit you with well, I've had such a hard and stressful day. And they might have. I'm not teasing them or making fun of them about it. But sometimes people go too far with this. See, sometimes the kid gets upset, so the parent sits down and talks about, oh, I understand that you're feeling this way. I understand how you're feeling. Let's take a little bit to calm down. Here, I'll go ahead, take care of it for you. You go off and do this. And that is the exact wrong way to handle it. I mean, we started off correct, right? We started off correct. Don't force them to do it right then if they're emotional. Sit down with them. Let them process their emotions. Say, it's not important right now. We can take a few minutes to talk about how you feel, to talk about how you had a bad day. We can hug it out a little bit. But at the end of that conversation, make sure they still do it. They still handle their responsibilities. This is something we deal with on our floor all the time. Some kid will struggle with something, or some adult will struggle with something, and they can't seem to get it. Or they can't remember it, or something like that. So they get really frustrated with themselves, right? So they get super frustrated, and then it becomes, well, I don't want to do it. I don't want to try. I don't want to whatever it might be, right? And that's where we have to come in, and we're not just going to force them to do it. We're going to let them process their emotions. We're going to give them a chance to go get a drink. We're going to let them walk a couple laps around the mat. We're going to talk to them about how they feel. We're going to talk to them about that stress. But in the end, we're still going to say, but you don't move on until you show me you can do this, right? And we push them into doing it again. Now, they might have a 5 or 10 minute break first, but they're going to do it. Right? We're going to make sure they do it before they leave. And I do this with kids all the time because sometimes they'll struggle with something and they'll get upset with themselves. So I let them take a break. I talk to them for a minute, but I'm not going to let them move on that day or leave that day until they are happy with their attempt. So I'm going to make them attempt it 1 to 5 more times until they're happy with what they're doing. Now, once they're happy with what they're doing, now they're smiling. They realize, oh, I'm better at this than I thought. So then they're more likely to want to come back and do it again next time.
Yeah. And I, as a rule, don't accept I don't want to as an answer for anything.
I don't either.
Because you need to know your why. So just saying I don't want to doesn't actually tell us or tell anybody why you don't want to do the thing. Is it challenging you? Do you not understand it? Are you feeling sick?
Yeah. What is the reason?
What's the reason? And I don't know why is a cop-out. It's a vague answer that you learned to give because people go, oh, well, you don't want to. I'm just not going to argue with you then.
And I don't let my students or my son get away with that, right? So say, I don't want to do it. Okay, why? Well, I don't feel like it right now. All right, well, how do you feel, right? What's going on? Well, I've just been a little drugged down. I feel fatigued. I feel tired. Oh, okay. So you don't want to do it because you're tired and you want to go do something else. Yeah, okay, I understand that. Most of the responsibilities I have to take care of, I do it when I'm tired and don't want to do it as well. But that's because responsibilities are things that have to be done. So we're going to do that regardless, right? So I'll talk to them. There will be no yelling. There will be no coercion. It will be soft tones. It will simply be I understand how you feel. It's a legitimate way to feel. I understand not wanting to take care of responsibilities, but we're going to take a minute. We're going to take a break. Taking a break is okay, but you're going to do it, right? You're going to do it. And I do that with my students, my son. Now, if there's a more legitimate reason, I don't want to. Why? Well, I can't hardly walk. My ankle hurts. All right, let me take a look at it. Oh, buddy, you got a big old swell spot on your ankle. All right, you probably shouldn't do this right now because you're hurt, right? So sometimes there's a legitimate reason. But like I talk about in Perseverance Weeks, never give up something just because it's hard. Never give up something just because it's challenging or just because I don't want to. Those are the trinity of bad reasons to give up something, right? And why I always tell my son and my students, if you're going to quit something, quit on a good day when you're happy about what you're doing, not when you're upset about it. I feel like that's really important. But now where does this all start, right? Oh, got a bunch of comments. Hey, Gary Lee, Bean Boy, Pamela, thank you guys for joining us. Now where this starts is your modeling of it with your kids, right? Because we all have, good to see you too. Oh, that's y'all, bro. Yeah, good to see you, man. So it all starts with what you model to your kids, because here's the thing. I did a post a week or two ago that went real big. It got like 700 comments. And it asked, hey, we all have pet peeves, but what's something you wish more people would do in public? And the number one answer I got was look out for others or help others when they need help. That was my number one answer by far. Over half the comments said something along those lines. Here's the thing. You can read a book called Persuasion by Robert Cialdini. He's kind of the grandfather of influence psychology. And there's a chapter in that book where he talks about how a lot of us like to think we're independent, like to think we have leadership ability. But in tests, over 90% of people, if they're not sure what to do in a situation, will hang back and look around and see what other people are doing, and then they'll copy what other people are doing. Meaning that if I don't know what to do in an emergency, I might look around to see if anyone else around knows what to do, and if everyone's just standing there, I'm just going to stand there. And that's a problem. See, that's the difference between followers and leaders, and why leaders are a lot more rare than people think they are, right? Because leaders aren't people that wait to see what everybody else is doing. Leaders are the people who act first. They talk first. They take the initiative. They handle their business, right? So as a parent, you are a leader to your children. So when it comes to responsibilities, being clear with them verbally and through action, man, I tell them, I used to tell my kid all the time, man, I do not feel like doing laundry right now, but I got to get it done. And then I get up and do it. And what that does is it shows him that responsibilities are things you have to handle regardless of how you feel. And then he is more likely to model that behavior as he moves forward. So this is the first step to establishing that level of grit and perseverance in your kids, and that level of responsibility is making sure that they see you model that, not just by handling your responsibilities, by admitting when you don't want to and still handling them. That's really powerful. Man, I don't want to do the dishes right now, but it's got to be done. So I get in there and do it, right? And that models that behavior for them. That's step one, right? Step two is don't let them get away with, like she was just saying, don't let them get away with empty excuses. Well, I don't want to do it. Okay, why do you not want to do it? Because I just don't want to. All right, but you got to give me a good reason why you don't want to, or you're going to do it anyway. You have to have a legit reason to not handle your responsibility, or you're going to do it anyway. And so what I'm trying to say here is, do not let your child's emotional state get in the way of their ability to handle their responsibilities. So if your child has a negative emotional mindset due to a bad day or whatever it is, of course, talk to them about it. Say, hey, we don't have to take out the trash right now. Just sit with me for a minute. Have a cup of coffee. Let's have a tea together. Let's sit for a minute. Sit with them for 5 or 8 minutes. Talk. Let them relax. Let them get bored. That's the key part. Let them get bored listening to you talk. Let them get bored talking about their emotions. Ask them, hey, why do you not want to do this? Why do you not want to handle the responsibility? Whatever. I guarantee you within 5 minutes, they're going to be more than happy to get up and handle that responsibility just to walk away from you in that boring situation that you just put them in, right? So this is another way to do it. So what I do is I give them space. I say, hey, you've had a bad day. You don't feel like it. I understand. How about we take a 5-minute break? Let's go sit down. Let's get an iced tea or something. Let's run to the store. And then the whole time I let them be bored. And I'm kind of like, look, man, I know you don't want to do this thing, but it's something you said you were going to handle. It's something that needs to be handled. And you don't have a good reason to not do it. I mean, you're not injured. You're not sick, right? So if you're going to have to do it, I'll give you the space. I'll give you 5 or 10 minutes. Go take a walk or whatever. But you're not going to get to go play until you do this. You're not going to get started on the video games until you do this. You're not going to get to watch a movie until you do this. This has to come first, because I have always been really clear from the time my son was 3. I've been really clear. Responsibilities always come before fun, right? So we handle our responsibilities first, then family, then fun, right? Now, family always comes first to a certain degree, but within your family, responsibilities matter, and you all need individual time to handle your responsibilities. So we always say, get all your work done first in the morning, then you have more time to mess around, to play, to engage, and things like that. So if we, all three of us in my family, handle our responsibilities by 10 a.m., well, then we get a large chunk of the day to spend time with each other as family, right? But we do this by responsibilities come first. So when Axel comes to me and says, hey, you want to go play tennis at the park? I'll say, yeah, I'd love to go play tennis at the park. Did you finish all your schoolwork today? No? All right, well, let's get together and work together to snap that out first, because the responsibilities come first. Once that's done, then we can go head to the park and play some tennis, right? So I always make sure when my kids say, hey, can we play video games? Yeah, I'd love to play video games with you, but first, did you do the dishes? Did you take care of the yard? Did you pick your toys up? Did you, whatever it might be? Okay, well, before we can play, we need to do this. And then they usually get upset, they crash out, they want to cry, stuff like that. And that's when you say, hold up. This chore, if we work together, this chore is going to take less than 10 minutes. Let's just get it knocked out. It'll take us less than 10 minutes, or nowadays that he's older, it's always working on the car. Like, because he's like, oh, we gotta plug a tire. It's only going to take 20 minutes. It's only going to take 20 minutes. We'll take 20 minutes, we'll handle the plug, and then we'll go play video games. It's no big deal, right? But this is how one of many ways that you use to develop grit and perseverance within your own kids, but it also means you have to model it. You look like you want something said.
I've had something picked.
All right, go for it.
So kids need boundaries. They need boundaries. There is safety in boundaries, and I know this is structure. I know this is controversial, but you're not supposed to be your kid's friend.
And now, may I pause here? Because I do a balance thing, and I know she does too. She's not going to say it here. But where we have unstructured family time, where it is a little more as friends, as family type of thing. But when a responsibility is on the line, when a rule is being broken, when someone's safety is at stake, then you have to put aside that friendly hat and become the leader, sometimes the bad guy, the structure giver is what I like to call it, right? Yeah. So I'm not saying you can't be. I know a lot of people say that. I don't like that statement, because it means that a lot of parents that use that statement mean it to be an authoritarian at all times. Yes. So like a lot of people that I hear say, well, you're not supposed to be friends with your kids. Those are people that try to be authoritarian all the time and then wonder why their kids won't talk to them as adults, wonder why their kids won't visit them or bring the grandkids over when they're adults, right? And it's because they have positioned themselves to be the authority, the authoritarian 24/7. But it's also important for your kids' development to allow them unstructured playtime with you or without you, where as long as it's within the rules and bounds of safety, you and them are allowed to play or role play in any way. We did a podcast about this, about how sometimes it's good to let your kids role play to be the authoritarian with you, right? So they can understand the dynamics of that relationship. So I have nothing against her saying that. My only issue with it is, if a lot of the people that use that term, you're not supposed to be friends with your kids, what they really are meaning is, I'm going to be the authoritarian 24/7. They're going to hop to everything I say. They're going to jump to everything I do. Everything that I say, they're going to be yes ma'am, how high when I ask them to jump. And that level of authoritarianism with a child will build resentment into and through the preteen and teen years, and usually causes an outsized selection of adults that when they get out on their own want nothing to do with their parents after that, right? So it is important to understand that your job is not to be your child's friend 100% of the time, but it's also, you need to be an authoritarian, but it's also important to understand balance in all things. If you're an authoritarian 100% of the time, they're going to sneak around behind your back, they're going to do stuff you don't want them to do, they're going to hide things from you, you're not going to be allowed to guide them. If you're a friend 100% of the time, they're going to run over you, they're going to walk all over you, they're going to push your boundaries. You have to be a little of both, right? So you have to be an authoritarian when it's needed and allow that unstructured ability for the kid to be themselves when it's not. I apologize, I don't mean to like counter you here, but that's an important topic for me. But if you will
let me explain, when it wasn't done.
All right, go ahead. I'm going to go out of the screen.
Thank you. Your job is to be your kid's mentor, their guide. So there are times where, yes, you need to set hard boundaries and when it comes to safety and whatnot. And there are times where you can be a little more fluid when there's unstructured time. So when I say I'm not my kid's friend, I mean I'm my kid's mentor. It is my job to help him get to adulthood and know his responsibilities and be able to guide him through those rough times where I have to go, dude, this is a boundary.
This has to be done.
You must get this done. I know it sucks.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry that it sucks and that you don't feel like it and that you're sore and that you're tired and that you don't feel good. I'll help you. I'll be there for you.
We can do it together.
But we've got to build that sense of responsibility, and because I'm not going to be around forever. And I'm not going to be with him every second of the day. And this is why I also don't accept for integrity doing the right thing when no one's looking.
Yeah,
we've taught our kids to do the right thing when we're not there, but we need them to do the right thing
regardless
when people are there.
Yeah, regardless.
And not just look around and go, what is everyone else doing?
That's
do the
how
right thing.
That's how people.
No matter what.
Yeah, that's how people get hurt in medical emergencies, because 20 people will see somebody collapse, but nobody knows what to do, so they're all just standing there watching.
And this is why a house is still dirty while 5 people are living in it, because, oh, well, they're not doing it, I'm not going to do it. No. Yeah. Do the things that need to be done.
And it comes first. Responsibility comes first. But what I have found is that when you have a lot of that unstructured time as well, then you get a lot more respect. So if you're the authoritarian 100% of the time, your kids slowly lose respect for that authoritarianism because
they can't trust you.
They feel like it's unfair and they can't trust you. But if you balance that with time that allows them to feel safe to explore who they are and be themselves and make mistakes without any repercussions and things like that, if you balance your authoritarianism with that unstructured time, then they are more likely to respect you when you bring the authority when you bring the authority out. When you bring the authority out, right? Because you're always an authoritarian, they're going to eventually start rolling their eyes and they're going to blah, blah, blah. And this is how they always act. It's how my parents always are. And they get sick and tired of it. But you also need to provide enough safe time around you where they feel safe to be themselves. They can be a little crazy. You know, raising a 12, 13, 14-year-old is really weird because here's the thing. Half the time they want to be independent. They want that independence. They want to prove that they're capable, right? But the other half of the time, there's still that little kid in a half-grown adult body that still wants to sit and cuddle with you, that still wants to lay in the bed with you, that still wants to hold hands with you. If you've reached that point at 13, 14 years old, you've done an amazing job as a parent because that means that they feel safe being around you. But if your child is 12, 13, 14, and they don't want that cuddle time, they don't want the hugs, they don't want any of that, it's because they're trying to push away from you as an authoritarian. Because no one likes spending 24 hours a day with the authorities, right? Could you imagine going throughout your whole day with a police officer riding with you everywhere you go? Could you imagine that? Well, that's what these kids go through.
It's only cool if it's your job.
Right? But that's what these kids go through, right? With some people that over-authoritarian their way in lives, they become that police officer to the kid who's always just trying to find their way away from them, right? So you have to allow for that space and that time. But she's right. It's mentor, it's guiding, it's those things. But for that to happen, you have to A, set the structure and boundary, B, unstructured time, right, for them to feel safe about being themselves and expressing themselves with you so they feel like they're safe to come to you, right? By balancing those two things, that unstructured time, look, the less often that I portray myself as an authority to my son, the quicker he reacts when I do portray myself as an authority with my son. So like if I go 4 or 5 weeks without having to put my foot down about anything because he's been doing great, and then 5 weeks in, I have to put my foot down about something, guess what? He really listens because he values that playtime with me. He values the video game time, the sports, the tennis, the martial arts. He values that time with me. And so when I do have to put my foot down, he doesn't want to lose the time he enjoys with me. So he doesn't want to upset me too much. So when I step in and do the foot down thing, he may not like it, but he'll go with it. And then afterwards, I'll have a talk with him about it. Be like, look, man, I didn't want to be the bad guy. I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to have to put my foot down. But you understand why it's important, right? And he'll go, yeah, I understand why you did it. I understand why I was out of line. And then we move on and go back to our unstructured time, and it's all good, right?
And it's not like we deny. If we have to put our foot down, it's a, dude, why are you behind in this? You told us you would get this done. Now this has to be done right now, and we can't do the thing that we planned. You know, it's. You
told me this morning you'd mow the front of the yard for me, and yet here we are at night, and it didn't get done. Look, you told me you'd do it, and now I got to put my foot down.
Yeah.
Oh, you have schoolwork? You told me you were finished with schoolwork, and I started playing video games with you. Well, the next time you play video games, we're going to spend it on schoolwork, right? Natural consequences to those actions, you know, and. This is something that we've always used with our kids, but this is also part of building perseverance and grit in your kids, right? So let's just backtrack a little bit, right? Step one, you have to model taking care of your own responsibilities while simultaneously admit to your kids when you don't want to do it. Man, I'm hurting and I don't want to wash the dishes, but it needs done, so I'm going to do it anyway. Man, I'm hurting. I don't want to mow the yard, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done today. I'm going to do it anyway. And you can also use that to invite them to help, right? If it's not their responsibility, I can say, hey, man, I don't want to do this. I know you want to go play tennis with me, but this is something I have to get done. You don't have to help. This is what I give them all the time. You don't have to help me. If you don't help me, it's going to take me about an hour and a half. If you do help me, we can probably get it done in less than an hour, up to you. And then I go start handling my responsibility. But then as he's gotten to be 12, 13, he's gotten to that point that he may not like it, but if he knows he has a responsibility to handle, and I say, hey, bud, let's go watch a movie, he'll go, well, I've got to do this and this first. It's my responsibility. All right, cool. Let's do that. And we can even do that together and we can have fun with that, right? As long as it's not something he has to do by himself. But if it's like dishes, we can do dishes together. We can do whatever to make the job more fun and go faster, right? But this is a big part of grit and perseverance. So step one, modeling, right? Step two, never allow empty excuses. I don't wanna is not a good enough reason. I don't feel good. I mean, unless they're actually sick.
Yeah.
I don't feel good is not a good enough reason. I struggle to do that. It challenges me. It's hard. It's difficult. All not good reasons. And those are the ones you guide them through and say, hey, look, one of these days you're going to have to support yourself. To do that, you're either going to own a business or you're going to have a job, right? If you, source of income. If you have a job, chances are statistically you're going to hate that job. And even if you have a job you like, there's going to be parts of it you hate that you have to do anyway, and you have to learn how to handle those responsibilities in order to take care of yourself. It's even worse than, look, if you have a kid that you give that talk to and they hit you that wall, be a business owner. It's worse for business owners. It's worse because we have, the owner has so many more responsibilities and no wage limits or contracts. Not wage limits, excuse me, no hours limits or contracts, meaning that if I have responsibilities to take care of, they're going to take me 80 hours this week. I don't get any workers' protections that allow me to get overtime over 40 hours or any of that. I got to do it anyway. And the worst part about being a business owner, there are times, we've had this happen for several months in this past year, where we put in 50 to 60 hours a week each and made $0 that month. Literally worked for free for the entire month. But that's what business owners do. It's for the trade-off that during the busy months, we're going to make up for that, right? So if you have your kid hit you the wall, just be a business owner. Then you got to be even stronger on your responsibility game because there's no one standing over you making you do it. You have to be the one that makes you do it. You have to be the one that puts in the work. And if you just want to own a business for the sake of being able to call yourself a business owner and you ain't putting in the work, it ain't going to happen. Not unless you're buying some turnkey business that's already got a manager and everything. But if you're doing that, you're probably already wealthy, right? I don't know of too many 19, 20-year-olds that can go out there and buy a, already smooth operating business, which, by the way, for example, I was looking at some a while back. There was a comedy club, not even that popular, but profitable. I think they profited something around the range of $4,000 to $5,000 a month. And it sold for $450,000. You know how many months you got to do to make that money back on that investment? So people that do that are typically already wealthy, right? Your average Dunkin' Donuts costs like $150,000 to buy, depending on your state and area. Around here in Oklahoma, it's cheap, so it's around $150,000. There's other states that you could go that it might cost you $500,000 for a tiny Dunkin' Donuts location. And you still have to, once you take it over, you still have to take over the lease. You still have to pay the rent. You still have to pay the bills. You still have to pay the lease on the equipment that's there. You still have to pay your employees, right? Sorry, I got off track. Go ahead.
No, I'm counting your steps.
Was that my steps?
Yes.
Oh yeah. So we did model it. We did, what was the second step? Oh, don't let the excuses get in the way, and make sure that it's third, make sure their emotions don't get in the way, right? So it's easy for kids to use emotions. Look, I'm not saying all kids actively use their emotions to manipulate their parents.
But they do.
But they do, right? I'm not saying they're necessarily doing it intentionally.
Brain development.
Now, some of the older kids, 9, 10, 11, they'll do it intentionally. Younger kids don't do it intentionally. They do it environmentally, if that makes sense. So don't do what my mom did and tell your 6-year-old, well, you're a manipulative little brat. Now I don't want to listen to what you got to say, because that messed me up for life. It messed me up for life. Because there is a difference between manipulation and influence, but I won't get into that right now. So don't be that parent. Oh, you're so emotionally manipulative. But at the same time, don't let them manipulate you with their emotions. Instead, Be the soft parent in the moment. Give them space to have their emotion. Oh, you start crying. All right, let's sit down together. Let's get a drink of water. Let's have a tea or something. Let's talk about why you're so upset. Well, I'm just so upset because everything I've touched has gone wrong today, and everything I've done has went bad, and I'm just afraid to do anything else because it's going to go bad. It's everything I've done today was just so horrible, and I messed up everything. Okay, what did you mess up today? I did this with my son just last night. Well, I messed up that thing this morning, and I messed up this thing, and I messed up this thing, and I was like, okay, all in all, that equaled about 40 minutes of your day. Right? So did you really mess up everything, or did you have 3 or 4 things happen and now you think you messed up everything? Right? And then walk them through the emotion until they calm down. But then don't let them walk away from the responsibility. Once they're calmed down and you've had that nice little heart to heart and you feel connected, all right, bud, but you're also not going to go on to do anything else until you get up and do handle that responsibility, because we know as adults that we don't always want to handle our responsibilities. Sometimes we even want to go to tears about it. Men, don't even. We do this crap too. Why do you think? Women, if you know a man that when he gets off work, he goes to a gas station or maybe the driveway and sits in his car listening to music for 20 minutes before he comes in. He might not cry every time, but he does this kind of thing. It's a processing thing, right? So we all want to kind of break down sometimes. And as adults, we'll give ourselves some space sometimes. We'll say, I'm just going to sit down and have this cup of coffee, and then I'll do it. I'm going to let myself cry for 5 minutes, then I'm going to get out there and I'm going to handle my family. I'm going to handle my responsibilities. Allow your kids the same grace where they can take a 10-minute break to relax and get their mind in the right spot to handle that responsibility, but then sternly, but without yelling or being aggressive, sternly make sure they handle that responsibility before they move on to anything else. When I say sternly, I mean calmly, but in no uncertain terms. You have to do that before I'm going to let you do anything else, right? That's stern. I do not mean yell at them or get aggressive, because the second you do that, you start to put fear in them, and when they become afraid of you, they shut down. The more afraid of you they become over the years, the more they shut down and refuse to talk to you when something is wrong, refuse to talk to you when they made a mistake, or refuse to talk to you about some girl trouble, boy trouble, bullying trouble, or whatever, because they feel like you bully them. So why would they tell you about their bullying problems at school? Makes sense? So you still want to leave that door open. You do that by being stern, but not aggressive, if that makes sense.
Yes.
All right, that's my 3. Did you have anything else, or did I miss one?
Nope, I think that was it.
All right, cool. So till see you guys again. Try this stuff this week. My martial arts students, we give this advice to our martial arts parents all the time. There's going to be days that your kid gets upset at something and they're struggling with something. Just be encouraging, be supportive. And they say, I don't want it. Next time it's time to go, they say, I don't want to do it. Be like, yep, but it's your responsibility, and we're going to handle it anyway. And we've done many podcast episodes about how to handle it when students seem to have a great time in class but don't want to come. If you want that information, make sure you message us. We'll send you the podcast episode or the blog article we've done about it or things like that. There's some really cool tricks that'll completely 180 that in no time. But if you guys have ever washed our floor and seen some kid crash out on the floor, or adults do it too, then you've seen us do this. Hey, you're frustrated. Go take a walk. Go get a drink. We give them a couple minutes on their own. And then we walk over there and say, hey, have you had a rough day? How are you feeling? We give them space to process and talk about their emotion or whatever else. And then once they're calm, they say, all right, you good and calm now? All right, I know you were struggling with this. I know it's a hard time, but how about this? How about I go out there with you and I walk you through it as many times as it takes until you get it. We'll go through it together. I won't even have you with a partner. I'll do it with you personally until you figure it out, right? And then we make sure that that student does not leave until they feel better about what they're doing, even if it means we have to stay a little extra time after class to do it, so that we make sure that that student feels good about what they're doing before they leave, so they're more likely to want to come back. So till we see you guys again, be the best teammates you can be, and be the best at being you. I always forget to do the YouTube one. Boom.